Hello guys, once again. Here we are, the second video of the unit. The goals for this part of the unit are to talk about health and to give advice. So we're first going to start by talking about home remedies. Home remedies are all those things you do when you feel unwell, but you don't want to take medicine. So you try healthier, if you can call them like that, options. Okay, here we have four situations and some uh, things that you might do when when you feel or where you are in these situations. So for example, you have got a toothache. What do, right? Do you take a day off work? Do you see a doctor or a dentist? Do you take some medicine, etc., etc.? So, when you are in these four situations, what do you do? Okay. For example, when I have got a toothache, I usually take some medicine, and if it doesn't work, then I go see a dentist. If I feel tired and I have no energy, I would love to take a day off work, but I usually just take a Red Bull and continue with my life. If you have got a high temperature, well, I usually just take paracetamol and wait until it goes away. And number four, you have got a really bad pain in your back and you don't know why. Well, I would take some medicine, and if it doesn't work, then I would also go to the doctor because with back pains, you never know, right? How long they're going to last. So think about this: black toast with honey, an onion, a wet tea bag, and salt water. What do you think these people do with these things, with these items? Can you match these things with the problems without reading? For example, black toast with honey for a headache, for example, an onion for a toothache. Can you match them? So now, let's see if you were correct, okay? You have to read the web postings to check your ideas. And answer the question, what do you think of these home remedies? What's your opinion? And would you like to try them? Why or why not? So here they are. Read them, pause the video before we continue. So, a black toast with honey for a stomachache might work. An onion on your feet for a high temperature. So cut one large onion in half and tie half of an onion to the bottom of each of your feet. I don't think I would do that. The smell, Jesus. A wet tea bag. You should put a wet tea bag on the sore tooth. Why would that help? I don't know. And also take a garlic clove and put it on the tooth. That doesn't sound helpful at all. Then salt water. Put a few drops of warm salt water in your ears. Oh, for a headache. Okay, I don't know if I would do that either. So, those are the things that they used the items above for. Those are the home remedies. What do you think about them, and would you like to try them? Why or why not? Well, I don't know if I would, but what about you? So, as I said before, one of the goals of this part of the unit is to talk about giving advice. It's not, sorry, it's to give advice. So, there are a few ways of doing that. You can use the imperative or should to give advice. So, we're going to complete the sentences with socks, tea bag, water, feet, and Gordic. Okay? So, when we have the imperative, we don't use a subject, and when we have should, we can use it in positive or negative um, sentences. Also, for imperative, take a garlic clove and put it on the tooth, or don't use really hot water. Okay, so you can use both in positive and negative, and for imperatives we don't use as the subject, but with should we do. Okay, there is a thorough explanation of this in the PowerPoint presentation, so I'm not going to stop and explain this a second time. So for the explanation, go to the PowerPoint presentation. So as I said, take a garlic clove and put it on the tooth, and don't use really hot water. And you should put a wet tea bag on the sore tooth. You shouldn't wear socks, of course, just bare feet. Pie pelado, bare feet. Okay, so now think of advice for each of these problems: a high temperature, headache, stomach ache, backache, and toothache. Okay, so I forgot, but pay attention to the pronunciation: headache, stomach ache, backache, toothache. Okay, so we don't say headache, stomach ache, backache, or toothache. Okay, it's k. The sound is k. Headache, stomach ache, backache, and toothache. So here we have examples of advice. You should take a paracetamol and lie down for half an hour. Is that for a headache? Okay, so think of advice for each of these problems. Also, in order for you to practice, I have opened a forum section where you have to write some advice for people who have some of these health issues or problems. Okay, so you can go there and practice too. Also, to talk about advice, we use if sentences, as they're called. So if you get a stomach ache, and we give advice. Also, there is an explanation for this in the PowerPoint presentation. So it says, look at the if sentences on the table, then put the words of this sentence in order and add it to the box. So if followed by present simple and the imperative, or if and present simple followed by should or shouldn't and the infinitive. Okay, so imperative or should. Examples: if you get a stomach ache, try this remedy. If you try the salt water remedy, don't use really hot water. And with the should and the infinitive, if they don't work for you, you should go to a dentist. Here, you can change the order of if sentences. If you get a stomach ache, try this remedy, or try this remedy if you get a stomach ache. Okay, but pay attention to the punctuation because we use a comma in between the sentences when we use the if part first, and when we use the this imperative, sorry, or the shouldn't part first, we don't use a comma. Okay, but think about this as, for example, if you get a stomach ache, so you are introducing the problem, and then in the second part you give advice. And here, try this remedy. If you get a stomach ache, you give the advice first, and then you talk about what the problem is. Okay, so if you get a temperature, use an onion. Okay, that would be the sentence that you had to reorder. So here it says, another exercise. Match problems 1 to 6 with advice A to F. There's more than one correct answer. Okay, I will give you one answer for each. But there is more than one correct answer. Okay, so pause the video if you don't want me to spoil the answers for you. So, if you have got a very bad cold, don't go to work. That would be ideal, right? If you're allergic to paracetamol, be careful what medicine you take. If your feet hurt, put them in hot water with mustard. That's weird. You've got a stomachache, you shouldn't eat a large meal. If you feel very tired, you should go to bed early, and if you have got a problem with your knee, don't go for a run. Okay? So, remember, there is an explanation of this in the PowerPoint presentation. So, go there. And the last part of the second part of the unit is a listening activity. We're going to listen to Amina from Lebanon and Natalie from Switzerland and Ruth from England talk about their own remedies for a cold. Take the remedies they talk about. So we have eat oranges, eat chicken soup, drink hot honey and lemon juice, drink black tea with honey, get on with work, go to the doctor, take paracetamol, inhale steam from hot water. Okay, so let's listen.
Track 34.
If I have a cold, I usually take medicine like aspirin, or I put my head over a hot bowl with hot water and inhale the steam.
Really, my mother and my grandmother do that, but I think I don't really do that. When I've got a cold, I either go to the doctor or I just try and ignore it and just get on with my normal work.
My grandmother told me that if you drink hot honey and lemon juice, it's the best cure for a cold. But I'm not sure if that's true. I prefer paracetamol.
Yes, me too. But my mother always tells me to drink black tea with honey too, and to eat soup, because you're not very hungry when you have a cold.
My mum always makes chicken soup when I've got a cold. It's the best thing.
So, from the things they do talk about, we have eat chicken soup, drink hot honey and lemon juice, drink black tea with honey, get on with the work. If that doesn't work, they go to the doctor, take paracetamol and inhale steam from hot water. So, think about these questions. What do you think of their remedies? Do you try them sometimes? Because drink hot honey and lemon juice, that's like universal. We do that here too. And black tea with honey, who doesn't do that when they have a cold, right? What do you do when you've got a cold? What about people you know? Do they do different things? And what's the most popular remedy? What's the most unusual remedies from the ones you know and the ones we have talked about here? Okay? So let's share those answers to those questions in class. I'll see you in the next video.